Shabbat Shalom. So I'm just going to take us again here through Exodus 18, verses 19 through 24, which says, "Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from among the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter, because they will share it with you. If you do this and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied." Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. So the context of this passage is that Moses and the Israelites have now fled Egypt. They're in the wilderness, and Moses is serving alone as the judge of the people. So anytime there's a dispute, Moses is the one who listens and judges. And of course, there are many, many disputes because there are many, many people. And so Moses really has his work cut out for him. Well, Jethro, his father-in-law, sees this and says, "Moses, this is not good. It's way too much work for you. You're going to wear yourself out if you go on like this. Way too much work for just one person." And in the times we're living in right now, we're constantly pushed to always work more, always take on more, always be busier, right? Many of you, and especially many young people among you, will be very familiar with the idea of hustle culture. Hustle culture. What is that? Well, it's wake up at 5 a.m., take a cold shower, make a vitamin smoothie, go to the gym, right? Work 12 hours straight, come home, sleep, do it all again the next day, right? Hustle culture. It's everywhere. You can't open up social media without being blasted with this stuff. Now, disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with working hard. It's very important, and it can get us very far in life, and it takes impressive discipline. So what's the problem here? Well, we all have our human limits, right? If we take on too much, if we work too hard, then we get burnt out. And then it's actually counterproductive, right? And I think that this is something that we just kind of fall into by accident sometimes. Life gets busy, and we get wrapped up in a project, and we don't realize how hard we're working. And this is why it's so important to have a Jethro figure in our lives. Somebody who comes along and notices and who says, like, "Whoa, slow down. You're being too hard on yourself. You're going to burn out if you go on at this pace." And it was God who appointed Jethro to speak to Moses and to give him godly counsel. And so it's important to have that sort of person in our lives. And so what was Jethro's solution? Well, he said to Moses, "Pick some capable men to help you out and to carry some of the burden. Men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain." It's so important to have that discernment, to pick people who are in right standing with God, who aren't in it for themselves, but who have a real desire to serve God. So these men who would take on the less difficult disputes among the people, and the more difficult disputes would be brought to Moses, so he was still playing a crucial role. And it's a great idea. Rather than do everything, delegate to others. It's what a great leader does. He or she delegates. And so how does Moses respond to this advice? Well, he was humble, and he listened to Jethro. He could have had pride in his heart, and he could have said, "Well, no, I'm not giving up control to these other men." It takes a lot of trust in others to carry out a project. There's a part of us that always wants to be in control, right? And to manage every little thing. Are you willing to give up some control on a project that God may have given to you so that others can come along and help you out? We're not lone soldiers out here. We're part of a larger body. And so Moses chose to be humble, and he was willing to give up some control. The willingness of a leader to be humble and willing to trust others is an important part of godly leadership. So if we're in a position of authority, let's respect our workers and trust them to do a great job with the tasks that are given to them. But most importantly, let's have the willingness and the humility to trust and to listen to the Jethro figures that are in our lives. So Lord, I pray that you would seal this into our hearts, Lord. Help us to be attentive and to be humble and not to get caught up in the busyness of life and just going on. And going at such a pace that we burn ourselves out, but help us to be willing to trust others, to delegate, to work as a body, Lord, and just that we would have that humility in our hearts, Lord, to listen to others when they bring godly counsel and to be willing to listen when they speak to us, Lord. In Yeshua's name, amen.